Happy New Year. We are back with Conor, Cowboy, Joanna, and Rampage News. This is episode 107 of Combat Sports Talk. Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the man with the keys to victory, John Keys. And
yes, I am.
And making an appearance all in his blazer, KC Onyebuchi. What's up, guys?
Bienvenidos a todos.
Oh, ¿qué pasó? All right.
Trabajando duro. ¿Y tú también?
Too. Hey, whoa.
Did he just switch to
uno
Latin?
momento. Yes, uno momento. Okay. Uno momento. All right.
Man.
And there it goes, people. Welcome to Combat.
Y'all need to speak some English.
Well, we do have people in south of us right now.
That's right.
Enjoy our company.
But the only person who can speak anything is KC.
I speak a little Spanish.
Taco, burrito.
Oh, wow.
Quesadilla. Amarillo.
Oh, wow. We know how far Ryan goes, okay? But anyway, so what's going on, guys?
What's up?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I mean, this is great. This is really great. We are back. The funny thing is that I really wish that I had decided that we should do the show the last week of the year. But at the same time, it was Christmas and New Year's and all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad to be back.
Busy living my best life. I couldn't have made it.
You were living your best life. But you are here now.
He's got the blazer now. He's got the trying to get some legitimacy on Combat Sports Talk here. I feel downgraded right now.
Yeah, man, we classy now. So George wanted to be here, but he is still working. He is training the next generation of great Muay Thai fighters and future MMA stars wherever that may take their career. So shout out to George for being here in spirit. We know that you wanted to be live on air with us today. So the thing that we're going to talk about, first off, right off the bat, we're going to do our headliner segment. And this is the thing that everybody's talking about, and that is Conor McGregor versus Cowboy Cerrone. All right, this is the headliner. This is where we talk about the topic that everybody wants to talk about, and that is Conor versus Cowboy Cerrone. He's coming back for his first fight since the Khabib Nurmagomedov fight, and they're doing this on January 18th, and it's UFC 246. It's going to be a great thing. Everybody's super excited about it. Are you guys excited?
I want to be excited about it. I know that this is a big comeback road for Conor to rehab his image, to show that he's still all about fighting and that he hasn't just turned into complete just debauchery in total. But the fact that he's coming in with so many unanswered questions and that he's moving up to 170 for this fight really makes it less interesting for me, because it shows me that it's less about fighting for a title and just for getting some more money. I don't really think that Conor has proven himself ready for this fight. Like typically with most other fight camps, we would have seen more video released. We would have seen a lot more hype around the type of workouts that he's doing. But Conor's been relatively silent for this, so it's been hard to build up that buzz to think, oh, he's still in fight shape versus this is a money grab fight.
John, what do you think, man?
I'll counterpoint that. I think this is gonna. I too want to be excited. I agree with Casey on that part, but I think the fact that he has to rehabilitate his image, he has to go low. He has to go low profile. Do I want to see his workout videos? I do, but I think we're gonna see that all that his workout, his physique, everything like that. We're gonna see that out on fight week. and I guarantee the hype, the fight buzz is going to generate there. And before Saturday, it's going to be a complete and total firestorm that's going down.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this though. We have been seeing some of the shots of Conor McGregor getting ready for this fight, and he is taking full advantage of the fact that he's getting to be at 170. I mean, rumor we were talking about it earlier today. Conor walks around at like somewhere between 180 and 190, so this isn't a big cut for him. So that means he's getting all the benefit of the size without having to cut, lose muscle, lose all that water in order to make that 155-pound number. So
I'd say we have to still keep in mind that Conor hasn't done his best work at 170. His name is made at 155. Conor at 170 is still a bit of an unknown factor. There's always an excuse for, well, the opponent was heavier, he didn't have enough time, he was doing too much media. So I would have loved to see him come back to where he established his name, but this 170 fight does allow him to get rid of some more excuses and say that this is your natural walk-around weight, but you're running into the buzzsaw of a tried-and-true Cowboy Cerrone who has absolutely no problem fighting at 170 and is no slouch here. Like, they are both coming off of a loss, but Cowboy Cerrone is a tried-and-true veteran. Not many other people have as many fights as him. His fight IQ is very, very high, and he's not going to get caught into some of these typical traps that we've seen Conor's opponents fall into.
Well, and Cowboy's really excited about this as well. And so this is the thing that's really really good about this fight that people really aren't talking about is Cowboy's not having to cut weight either. And what he's saying is that he actually prefers that he doesn't have to go through all of that effort to make 155 either. He's like, we're both going to have a healthy, fat camp, and he's like, this is going to be the best Cowboy you've seen. Like, this is I'm really excited. I mean, he's got new striking coaches. He's fighting in a new gym. You know, there's a lot of good things going on for Cowboy. Yes, he's coming off of a loss. Or actually, I think he's coming off of 2 losses. But the thing is that he has put on an amazing run, and Conor should not overlook Cowboy, and it seems like he is.
I agree.
He very much is. There's been so much conversation about who's next, who he wants next. But when you really think about it, there is reason for Conor to be looking past Cerrone. As a fight style matchup, stylistically, Conor does have the edge here, given that Cowboy is notoriously a slow starter here.
Yes, I agree. But at the same time, a motivated cowboy is a dangerous cowboy, and he's highly motivated. All right. And for Conor to jump up to 170, that's also a boon for him, because if we remember, the last time that he was at 155, he was demoralized, destroyed, and there was no coming back. It was pretty much a loser leaves the division type fight. And he lost that fight decisively. Okay.
So let's talk about some of the other things that people aren't talking about, because what we're noticing is that even in our conversation, we naturally gravitate to Conor McGregor. Cowboy Cerrone is a huge name in the UFC, and he holds multiple records. I think it's most number of fights, most number of wins. He's got the most number of finish performance bonuses. Like, the list goes on with the contributions that Cowboy Cerrone has made and the accomplishments that he's made within the UFC. But nobody's talking about him. It's all about Conor McGregor. So, one of the things that Dana White was frustrated because people are only talking about Conor McGregor, and Dana White, president of the UFC, says, we're getting through this one first because everyone wants to know what's going to happen next after this for Conor. And he's like, we're getting through this Cowboy fight. He goes, apparently people forgot that Cowboys lost 2 in a row before and come back and gone on unbelievable runs. He's like, don't count Cowboy out. But then you got someone like ESPN who actually does a promo in prime time for this UFC card, and they only show Conor McGregor. And it's like, what are you doing? These are 2 stars fighting in the ring, not just one. I mean, so John, I think Cowboy's getting an unfair shake. What do you think?
I agreed. He's getting a very unfair shake. But remember, the last fighter they did like this was Amanda Nunes. All right. They totally, it was Amanda Nunes, and I do believe it was, if it fails me, but she was given she was given a very raw deal. Nobody talked about her until she came in and started her run there for championship gold. So I say with Cowboy, he probably prefers this in a sense, as nobody's talking about him. There's no type of pressure put on him. He could just go in there, do what he does best, knock people out, or take a win and keep going and go back on that win streak like he had before. I do predict. I'll say it right here, right now. Cowboy will take Conor. Okay, he will take him by decision.
Fight prediction before we do the fight. Look, whoa, that's bold. Whoa. Let's see how that works for him, Cotton.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that works out for him.
That's right. There it is. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, KC, what's your thought on this? Do you think that Cowboy's getting a raw deal?
I think this is completely a calculated move. Like, as much as I like to get in on Dana White, what I found is he is completely devious. The man is a marketing genius in a way that I absolutely hate to give him justice on. But without fail, Dana White knows exactly what he's doing here. He's hedging his bet if Conor loses by making sure that he's keeping Cerrone in the story. And by not having nothing passes the UFC marketing without going through Dana White. He knew that Cowboy wasn't going to be a part of this. This creates additional controversy, stirs it up, gets more eyeballs looking at it. Cowboys fans are more engaged this way. So I don't see this as a total negative. We're talking about it here on this show. Other people have mentioned it. This is 100% marketing genius. If we see another, it's like the walkout shirt. Some of this stuff is so awful.
God.
So awful that it forces our hand, and we have to talk about it.
Oh my gosh!
So let me be the first to do this, because I pulled up the walkout shirt. I've yet to look at it. Okay, so let's have a live reaction to this shirt, because I picked it out. This was on Bing, and if this is the shirt that I see right now, it's the black Reebok shirt with a topless Conor.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
I mean, is it Conor?
That's it.
This looks like a 6-year-old Drew Conor from memory.
That is it right there.
How much are they wanting for this shirt? That's my question. That is
UFC fight.
UFC fight, kid.
Because I mean, I've seen how much.
Yeah,
how much do they want for Baby Yoda? I think we can give more for Baby Yoda. I think we can. I think we can. How much we pay for our Combat Sports Talk shirts?
There it is. I put it on the screen now. There, you can see it. For those people who are watching, it's on the screen now. That is the shirt right there. And shout out to MMA Mania. This is where we're getting the image from. But that's your shirt right there.
Yeah. So lots of cringe factor. I think 2019 was the year of cringe. We had Triple C just being his crazy self.
I'm sorry. We can't call Triple C anymore. Okay.
Well, I mean, technically, could we call him Triple C? Because he wasn't really the wrestling champion at the time either. So.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just 2019 was the year of cringe, absent of a fighting champion in Conor McGregor. So I think we're still on the tail end of that. We're going to see a lot more cringe as part of the whole marketing thing, and people still figuring it out. There's a void that needs to be filled here, and in some small regard, we almost need Conor to come back and take his throne again. What we'll see differently is I don't believe that he can take that same bombastic tone that he had in the past until he collects some serious wins. And I think then we'll get back to the trash-talking Conor, who really set the tone for the UFC in the last couple of years.
All right. I mean...
I'm sorry, people. I'm still stuck on the shirt. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's not good.
it's a pretty rough shirt for sure.
It's not good.
It's not good. But at the same time, we've definitely got we've definitely got a great card coming up for us. A few other things to talk about, Conor, about real quick. We'll just run through this. The only people that's really talking about this that I want to mention is what Conor's saying. Conor's saying that after he gets through Cowboy, he really wants to start looking for that 170 gold. Now, that's held by Kamaru Usman, who just got through that awesome fight with Colby Covington. And basically, Kamaru Usman's like, hey, slow your roll. Go ahead, take your L from Cowboy, because you don't want to dream about getting this welterweight strap from me, because your dream can turn into a nightmare fast, because that's a play off of his Nigerian Nightmare nickname. So that I thought that was pretty interesting. Justin Gaethje, who felt slighted because of the fact that he didn't get the Conor fight at 155, and Dana White's talking smack about him, saying that he dodges fights. He's saying that while he thinks that Conor stylistically matches up well against Cowboy Cerrone, he is praying many times over that Cowboy knocks out Conor.
Ooh.
So there you have it. Those are all of the stories kind of surrounding this big UFC 246 event that's coming up on January 18th. We'll be talking about it more as we get into kind of the the fight card for that week. But this is everything that people are talking about. Like, there's really not a lot else. Actually, that's not true. There's a lot of other things else that people are talking about. But this is the number one story. That was our headliner. Let's get into the official not the official decision. Let's get into Finding the Angles. This is Finding the Angles. This is where we talk about the other headlines that are making waves in the UFC, the MMA world, and in combat sports in general. So the first thing we're going to talk about, folks, we got to talk about it, and that is the fight between Quentin Rampage Jackson and Fedor Emelianenko, the last emperor. So this happened at Saitama Super Arena. This was in Japan, like the last week of the year. This was like New Year's Eve. That's supposed to be a really big fight. Everybody was super excited about it. And it ended with a Fedor knockout of Rampage in the first round. One shot. It was a glancing shot. Rampage fell like a Three Stooges fall. Like, it was one of the goofiest falls I've ever seen. And then he waves off the ref and shakes his head no, like, no, I don't want any more. And he's waving off the ref. And it was so not Rampage Jackson. This is a guy who made his living slamming folks and just wrecking people. How does a guy with a head the size of a watermelon take a glancing punch and then fall out like Curly on the Three Stooges? I say he took a dive, and a lot of people are saying he took a dive.
It's easy to say he took a dive with the first couple of views of it, but I mean, it's a glancing blow from a heavyweight champion, if you think about it. So it's still not just something that you can any average person can walk off. So you took a hit from Fedor, but if you watch it, it still lands generally in the temple area. So it's not without reason that this wasn't something that completely stunned Jackson, and he was just like, nope, I haven't done this in a while, not prepared for this.
John, what do you think?
I'm not going to say he took a dive, but his fall was kind of quick. Okay, I won't say it was a dive, because a dive says he did go head first, didn't he? So yeah, he took a dive.
Yeah. Let's talk about this a little bit more though, because when he falls, he doesn't roll over on his back, try to go full guard. He doesn't spin around and try to take a leg. I mean, Rampage does have a wrestling pedigree. None of the things that you would normally see a fighter do, at his caliber. This isn't a newbie. He's been through wars. He knows what to do whenever he gets rocked. And to just wave off the ref and be like, no, I'm done. With it may have even been a buffer factor knockout because it was like, it was so quick.
Yeah.
It's so uncharacteristic of Rampage. I find it difficult to believe that was a knockout blow that completely incapacitated him.
It could have been one of three things. It could have been a blow that could have incapacitated him. It could have been a serious blow because remember,
Factor knockout because it was
Jose Aldo was knocked out in just a blow or two. All right, and it was a glancing blow. Or three, which is the more plausible thing, is as Rampage has said, he felt like a hippo out there. He took a hit. He was like, you know what? This sucks. And hit the ground. And he's like, you know what? I'm good. We're not fighting like this no more. So I think it might be more towards three.
There is something to be said about the fact that Rampage came in at the heavyweight limit of 265 pounds. Now, typically, Rampage fights at light heavyweight, which is 205. Now, KC, you know what it's like to fight a guy who should be weighing a lot less than what he is.
I don't know what you're talking about, good sir.
But
I know what it's like to fight somebody who's over the heavyweight limit.
So fortunately in boxing there is no heavyweight limit. All
right, Butterball.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be Butterbean.
That's the way you eat.
All right, laugh it up, Chucko.
Hey, you want some of this, old man?
No. So Rampage saying that really his loss was due to undertraining. I mean, it sounded like an Andy Ruiz Jr. kind of story. I undertrained, I overate, and therefore I got beat. And so Rampage says he's going to document his weight loss journey. So what he's saying is that because he was out of shape, people criticized him, and he said that he owned up to being overweight, felt like a hippopotamus, and wants to document that journey. Encourages other people to go on that weight loss journey along with him. I'm going on that journey with him.
You might want to pack a lunch. It's going to be a minute.
Man, listen, if I'm packing a lunch, it's going to be a big lunch. So maybe I should just not do that. The fight. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a pause moment there and say that I do agree that weight and all of these things played a factor, but we do have to be probably more cautious of the language that we're using here to say that he took a dive versus he took a punch and gave up. Like, there's some connotations to taking a dive that so far MMA has been able to avoid, which is the fixing of fights versus someone just not having the heart that we're used to seeing. And I think that there's a difference in language that matters there, that we're still not at a point where we don't trust the results of MMA matches. We're saying for this particular fight, Rampage wasn't ready, and he just didn't have the heart that we wanted to see.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. One of the most famous people who takes a few strikes and then basically taps out or calls out is Bob Sapp, right? Really big dude. I think he's like 6'7", 6'8", weighs 350, 380 pounds, built like just a Mack truck. And he comes into these fights, starts taking a little bit of damage, and then he just covers up and taps out and says, I'm done. We use the language taking a dive, but that's what we don't really mean taking a dive to fix a fight. What we really mean is not fighting through adversity, just choosing to quit. And so he quit early. I expected more from Rampage Jackson. I felt like it was kind of a show up, collect the paycheck, and then take a picture with Fedor, So I was disappointed. The thing is, that fight only had 311,000 views. It was up against the football game in the United States, Clemson versus Ohio State, which did 20.3 million views. So I don't know if it was because it had big competition or if people just didn't care about Rampage and Fedor. It may be a little bit of both.
I have to agree.
All right, let's go on. You've got USADA back in the news. We like to talk about them. USADA is the United States Anti-Doping Agency, which is a subsidiary of WADA, which is the World Anti-Doping Agency, and they are testing a new method for UFC athletes. It's called oral fluid testing. And so this is the collection and analysis of oral fluid or saliva. And it's an advanced drug testing method that's been used in recent years. Oral fluid testing allows for non-invasive collections that are easy to observe and limit the potential for tampering. So basically what they're saying is that this is a better way for them to test people who are currently popping for in competition prohibited substances that they took out of competition. So, for instance, if you smoked marijuana recreationally out of competition, but the metabolites are still into your system when you get in competition, the blood test and the urine test will pop and say that you have been taking marijuana when you actually took it out of competition. So by doing the oral fluid testing or the saliva testing, because it's easier to say, by doing the saliva testing, what happens is if you had those metabolites in your system, but they were taken out of the competition, then they're not going to show up in the saliva testing. They'll only show up in the blood and urine testing.
So, question. Yeah. Does that mean that they're going to do multiple tests at the time, or are they just going to do that one test?
They will still do the other tests because it's only a pilot right now. So what that means is that they're going to do the blood and the urine testing. They'll do the saliva testing as well. They're not even going to communicate the results to the fighters of the saliva test because it's still a pilot and they want to see how well it's performing versus the other tests.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
And speaking of USADA, remember back at UFC 244, this was sometime in November, it was November 2nd at Madison Square Garden. This was for the BMF title, Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz popped the week of the fight. And there was the whole scare that Nate Diaz was going to pull out because he felt that he was unjustly accused of having doped. That he said that he is, basically a vegan and he's all natural and there's nothing that he could have taken that might have tainted his results. Well, interestingly enough, it turns out that USADA partner supplement411.org added a new supplement to their high-risk list about a little over a month after that fight. And what is it? It's Plant Man Multivitamin. It's one of the multivitamins, part of the line of supplements that Nate Diaz himself represents. So it's potentially, allegedly, to quote KC, allegedly, the thing that the tainted supplement that he took was his own supplement. Isn't that ironic?
It sounds scandalous, but on the realistic, let's just talking as friends here. There's no way that any of the Diaz brothers are smart enough to actually know how to put together their own supplements, beyond just eating actually the natural. I don't think that they're in lab coats putting together the formulas for their own supplements. Neither of them are trained doctors. I don't think they could get actually, it's not hard at all to get a supplement approved on the market. But I think that their names are attached to it. I don't think that this is knowingly, hey, let's put trace amounts of this stuff in there. So this to me goes back to like, yes, it's scandalous. Like, oh no, the Diaz brothers messed up here. But it doesn't actually point to intent for these guys to screw up or mess with their diets. I think at the soul of who they are, they've always been guys who are about, look, I'm doing this the right way.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone is accusing them of trying to cheat, but at the same time, they've attached their name to a product, and they are responsible for the performance of that product and what happens with that product. And if you take that product and it has a tainted supplement, you get popped for it. People are going to look at you saying, "Hey, didn't you do your due diligence?" I don't think there's anyone who's saying that the Diaz brothers are cheaters or anything like that. That's far.
Oh, yeah, there still are. There are definitely those people who said that the BMF belt was illegitimate.
It is.
The fact popped, and then all of a sudden shows up with, "Oh no, he's cleared." Like that's somewhat problematic and does create an air of questioning around that.
Well, I think that has to go more to the fact that the way that USADA does its testing now is that you can have an adverse finding because you weren't clean, but at the same time, the adverse finding may be at too small a quantity to be performance enhancing. And so that's what happened was they found something and they said, "Hey, Nate, we found something in your test." He blew up and said, I'm not going to fight unless you clear me. And they're like, "Fine, you're cleared because it's not performance enhancing in its quantity, but we did find something and we wanted to let you know that we did that." So I think that there's still a lot to go. The UFC, the USADA has been changing their policies to create thresholds by which they will not consider it an adverse finding now. They're going with new testing methods to help avoid the false positives. So I think that they're doing a lot to try to clean up the mistakes that they've made in the past. You were going to say something, Casey?
Yeah, so as you guys know, I compete in tested federations for powerlifting, and some of the other sports that I do require testing. So what I have seen that's different from the UFC, which I don't understand that these guys are professional and I as an amateur have never been popped for, is there's a list of supplements that they say, you take this, you're very unlikely to ever pop, and you stay on that track. If you go outside of that list, and everyone who competes in a tested federation knows what is permitted, what's not permitted. If you go outside of that, you run a risk. How is it that fighters so regularly run into this problem? Like, that's what I don't understand. We say tainted supplements over and over and over, but do you actually need those supplements that are tainted? Like, I feel like everyone's trying to find these any advantage that they can get, and they're trying so hard to skirt the law that they run up against it.
It's called the law of min-maxing. Okay, it's when everybody wants to push it to the extreme level until somebody yanks them back, and they're like, "Okay, we won't go there level again." My question is, I could have sworn I was listening to the USADA say that if you have a supplement that you want to see if it's safe or not, send us a sample of the supplement. We'll test it out for you, and we'll let you know if it's good or not. Why wasn't that done? Why wasn't that? And I got nothing against the Diaz brothers. I adore the Diaz brothers for what they bring to the ring. But at the same time, if you want to sit there, you want to be, an advocate for things, saying that you're clean, that we do it right. Why don't you just take the supplement up there to USADA, say, "Here, test this, make sure I'm good on this. Oh, there's something in it. Thank you for letting me know." Okay, or it's good, we're good, and keep going.
There's so many interesting studies in this space that even show that a lot of the supplementation is actually useless So you're putting things into your body that aren't adding value.
Well, it's
If
not
you're saying
regulated.
that you're just doing protein.
Yeah, it's not regulated by the FDA either. So anyone can put anything into a supplement that they want, and you're just trusting that the seller of the supplement is doing the right thing. I mean, I don't know why people aren't being more cautious. I mean, after we've seen so many fighters' careers be affected by this type of thing, and there's a lot of distrust on an organization like USADA, but at the same time, it's like you have to be aware that it's ultimately up to you. Personal accountability for what you're putting into your body to try to get those gains that you may not even need.
Oh, Lord.
Gains.
So, anything else on this, guys, before we move on?
There is one upside to this view of tainted supplements, and that is Yoel Romero, the man who has been continually under that shroud of, he cheated. He's a cheater. All he does is find ways to beat steroid test, and then to have been found not culpable for taking a tainted supplement. But he has made more money from suing that supplement company than from fighting in the UFC.
Right.
So give me a tainted supplement. Like, that's my next goal. That is my career path. I will take some Diaz supplements and get rich.
Yeah, he won like 80 million, wasn't it?
It was a big number. We covered it on the show previously. I don't know what the number is, but it was a big number. That's it. I got $1 million idea. Tainted supplements. So, talking about $1 million ideas, one that I don't, he may say that he's made $1 million on it, but I don't believe it. It's Tyron Woodley, the former welterweight champion, moonlights as a rapper, and he's got a new single out. One of the few times that we will use the language, because we try to be PG-13 here, but the name of the rap single is Dead Ass.
Okay, first of all, that doesn't even count as a bad word, but...
Well, I mean, I'm laughing because...
My kids listen to this, so it's,
Yeah, kids, don't say ass, okay? I get in trouble my own self. But his first single was, I'm gonna beat your ass. Okay, and it's just like there's a pattern here, and I'm questioning it. So
it's like, I don't understand. I mean, I understand. Woodley loves rap music. Woodley has the means to be able to produce his own music. It's his passion. So go after it, Woodley. Personally, for me, my standards are higher when it comes to what I consider to be great rap music. There have been better artists that have come out of the St. Louis area. That's all I gotta say.
Name three.
Okay, Nelly.
That's one.
Tech Nine.
That's more Kansas City, but okay.
It's the St. Louis area. I mean, it's the other side.
Do not claim each other.
Murphy Lee. How about that?
Murphy Lee, really? We're doing that. Doing that.
who else had the Air Force Ones? You're just saying that St. Louis doesn't have a lot of great rappers.
Oh, they do. I knew for sure you couldn't name three.
Now I can.
Like
Chingy, Jaquan.
I knew you were about to look it up. There's no way.
I know for a fact that you looked it up first. I wish you could turn your screen around.
So what I was looking for was, is there a psychological term for a fixation on butts, given that you commented on the pattern that you're seeing?
Yes. I don't know. It was
a bad search, so I just had to end that real quick. Do not recommend that search, folks.
Yeah. Don't look for that. Let's see. What would it be? Give me a second here. So I'll search because I think
Yeah.
I could do a PG.
I'd like to apologize in advance for
Yeah,
what you're about to experience.
Combat Sports Talk's taking a right turn. We're gonna look up what the word is if you have a fascination with butts.
Okay, so I know if anybody who knows me is watching this, they probably know I've done this probably a couple times. So let's see here.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, whatever.
I can tell you what it's not, but I don't know that that's helpful.
Um,
Either way, can I say on this while you guys are looking this up? Sports stars with rap music have a horrible history. The only person who might have limited success, and that's really due to family money coming into it, are the Ball brothers, Lonzo Ball. Not a great rapper, but people really seem to give him a chance. You've got Dame Lillard and a couple other guys. Like basketball seems to be your best bet if you want to be a rapping sports star.
Well, I mean,
but then
Shaq.
you got Shaq.
Yeah, I was like,
I got it.
great. Okay, what is it?
It's pygophilia.
Py-
Pygophlia. It could be spelled pigophilia, but it could be pygophilia too. Ha! Now I gotta take the rest of that stuff off. Okay, because you're right. It did get a
Like
little
all
raw.
of a sudden your screen's it's breaking up there. Like
Yeah.
you caught a virus. That search got you a sickness.
Wow, that's it.
Shot.
So what we know, here we go, boys and girls. What we know is that Tyron Woodley is a pygophiliac,
All right, there you go.
a pygophile. There he is.
That's too close to terribleness.
Pygophilist. It's pygophilist is the
Okay.
term for a person who has a attraction to the gluteus maximus.
There you go.
Well, the more you know, kid.
The more you know. Anyway, we're cracking jokes about it.
Tell my boss to show that hey, you should check out our show. Maybe next episode.
So
Yeah, thanks for that, guys.
You know that we're making jokes about it, but you know who else made a joke about it? Leon Edwards, Tyron Woodley's upcoming opponent, and he basically said, "Hey, after I beat you, at least you got rap." What? So in the mornings, I call KC in the mornings, and we have we have debates and things like that we talk, and there will be times where I will catch KC, and he will tell me to shut my rear end up. This is that is the response. It uses the word ass. So even in Tyron Woodley's response to Leon Edwards, he told him to shut his ass up.
It's an effective comeback when you don't have nothing else. There's one other modifier that you can put in front of it that takes it to the next level.
And he used that modifier. It is the female dog modifier. Shut your female dog ass up.
Wait a
It's
minute.
effective on a playground. That works every time.
So let me get this straight, all right? Because I've heard you say this a couple of times, and I've never really put it together. We are in the Central Time Zone. Me and Ryan are in the Central Time Zone.
Yes, sir.
KC is sometimes on. I'm not. You're in the
I'm on every coast.
Jet setter.
but sometimes you are 2 hours behind us, and he calls
that
you.
happens.
I would tell you the same thing too. Oh my god!
So that's the thing is Ryan likes to call me when it's like 4 a.m. my time, 6 a.m. my time. My brain doesn't work. And so at a certain point, your only retort is, man, shut your behind up.
You guys are truly good friends. Okay, that's all I got to say. Your friendship is eternal.
I mean, Oh, the love is real.
Because Ryan, if you come at me at 7:30 in the morning,
You're
okay,
already
man,
up. You get up at like 5 o'clock in the
fine.
morning to go to work.
And so let me say this again. If you come at me at 7:30 in the morning, okay, I'm gonna look at you strange, and I may have to say those words.
Oh,
Okay.
you can best believe tomorrow I'm coming at you at
Oh,
7:30.
struggle.
You just guaranteed it. Like you
Hey, real
just
quick,
guaranteed it.
real quick, guys. I want you to close your eyes for 2 seconds. Just
Okay.
close your eyes for 2 seconds.
All right.
All right.
You see that? That's my world without you in it.
Oh man.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
yes. Let's keep going.
You know who? To make an effective segue here, you know whose world's been dark? Our world has been dark without GSP in it, but we may see GSP coming back. George St. Pierre coming back for 2020 if Chael Sonnen has his way. If Uncle Chael, Badman Inc., the American gangster, if he has his way, we may see George St. Pierre come back. And what he's saying is, he says he doesn't believe George St. Pierre's retirement, even though George St. Pierre is 38 years old. He doesn't believe it. He says we still see him in the gym. We still know that he is looking for that mega fight, and he could find it with someone like Khabib Nurmagomedov after this Tony Ferguson fight. I mean, I think Tony Ferguson's going to win, but, you know, if he doesn't, it'll be a mega fight possibility.
You're absolutely right. I can definitely. I don't want to agree with you, Son, because it is a possibility, and we do see George in the gym, and he does not look like a 38-year-old. He actually looks really good. Okay, so could we see him? Quite possibly. Will we want to see him is the better question, and I don't think so. Not against Khabib, because Khabib's a mauler. All right, many people have said that he is stronger than what he looks like. All right, he is way stronger. So I don't know if George really wants to do that. I don't know.
All right, guys, I'm coming back. No. That was my rush. I'm not impressed by that performance. No, I think that Chael is just practicing that wishful thinking and speaking things into existence. There's a lot of fighters who remain training after their time in the octagon because it's what they love. It's who they've always been. I don't think that there's enough incentive right now for Rush to come back. He's had everything. Looking for a super fight, there's only so long that's even interesting. I think we've seen a lot of turnover in the types of fans that are watching UFC today. GSP's fan base, by and large, isn't enough to fill a headlining slot with the type of pay-per-view numbers that UFC is used to seeing today. And so if GSP can't pull the numbers, then why have him in here? So I think we have seen the last of GSP in any meaningful way.
I think you're wrong. I think GSP comes back, everybody will want to see it. I mean, we saw the numbers of the Bisping fight. GSP comes back.
He still had clock then.
He had been gone for 4 years before then, and so GSP being gone for 4 years comes back in a title fight against Bisping. If Khabib Nurmagomedov gets to 30-0. And he's talking about one last fight before he retires or something like that. I think that everyone would want to see who was arguably the greatest wrestler in MMA during his time could do something against the Eagle. I would be interested in that. But
I mean, same way you guys were interested in watching Tito Ortiz fight.
No.
Well, no, because there's a difference there. I mean, with George St. Pierre, okay, he still has a mystery about him. That riddle has never been solved, has never been truly solved.
Well,
we thought
one time. Yeah.
One time, okay, but he came
technically twice. Johnny Hendricks won that fight. I don't care what anybody says.
So, but still. He still won. He still walked away. I agree with you that Johnny did have his number. However,
USADA had Johnny's number.
So basically what you're saying, you have to be a juiced out dwarf to actually beat George St. Pierre. That's what you're basically having to say, in a sense.
In a more politically correct way, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, John is not known for his politically correctness.
No.
He's more politically incorrect.
I'm a veteran, people.
So just to tie off on this one, Faraz Sahabi, he is the head coach at TriStar Gym where George St. Pierre trains, says that he would love to see a potential fight between George St. Pierre and Khabib at 165 pounds. It would be a catchweight fight. And basically he was saying that George is a better striker, George is a better wrestler, that George is better than Khabib in all aspects of the game. So he would welcome to that fight, and I would too. I want to see what happens. You know what rule number 1 is? Never bet against the Russian.
Dang it, I didn't have enough time to come up with something stupid.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Jorge Masvidal.
Never go into the pool.
Jorge Masvidal is living his best life now that he is the BMF title holder. His nemesis, Colby Covington, got his jaw broken. Everything, like, I don't know that anything could be going any better for Jorge Masvidal. So what he's saying is, when all this Conor and Cowboy talk, he wants a piece of Conor. He's like, why do I want to go and fight for the title at welterweight against Kamaru Usman, whom he's calling the Owl now, because when they mentioned Jorge Masvidal to Kamaru Usman, he said, who? So now Jorge's calling him the Owl. Jorge's saying that the welterweight title will always be there. Conor McGregor might not be. We talked about this last time, but I think that it's fair to say that that is a fight that we should be considering and looking at.
I agree. What can we say about Jorge that hasn't already been said? He's riding the wave right now. So if he wants, Conor before, Kamaru, okay, let him have it. Okay, because I think he wants to get that big payday before he gets that bigger payday, or is it the bigger payday before the big payday?
The problem with this is it completely negates the whole purpose of having a hierarchy, a ranking system, and a championship belt. This BMF belt is actually one of the worst things they could have done, because now it really does. We've already had issues with fighters, like we're questioning whether they're actually in this for the money, whether they're in there to actually win the belt or not. And this gives yet another example of why a fighter says, like, does the belt matter? Like, I'm just here to fight. And in this case, it really doesn't matter. It means nothing. He's going to make more money without the belt, so why does he need the belt?
Because he wants a piece of Conor. I mean, you're right. You're right for every reason. You're right. But he knows that Conor's probably on his last leg. He's probably got maybe 1 or 2 fights in him, and he's trying to get in there before Conor says I'm out. Okay.
Well, I think he also needs to get in there before Conor loses too many fights, because if Conor loses to Cowboy, then that star power goes down. Conor needs to string together wins so that people believe that he is invincible. Like, I am on the message boards, I am on the MMA boards, and people are always like, Conor's the greatest, Conor's the greatest, Conor the greatest. But when we start going back now, Conor's lost to Khabib. Conor lost to, Floyd Mayweather. Conor lost to, won to Nate Diaz. If you get too many fights where you've lost and there's too much time between your fights, you just lose that star power. That's what Casey's talking about with George St. Pierre. I think that a bad showing against Cowboy Cerrone and Conor's stock just goes.
Well, with Mayweather, in the case of Mayweather and Nurmagomedov, he went against the very best at their game.
Doesn't matter.
Now, Diaz, as much as I have much respect for Diaz, he went in there with the cockiness and got his butt kicked. But when you go up against the very best, I don't think that diminishes your light that much. Okay, I don't think it really diminishes it that much. Now, if he went up against a bunch of mid carders and was getting his butt handed to him, okay, all right, your star power is going. But he went up against the very best. Okay, and
But
it
he
is what
didn't
it
look
is.
great doing it. Is my problem with it. I don't think any real boxing expert saw Conor against Mayweather and thought at any point during that fight that Conor had a shot.
But they saw him last a whole lot longer than any of them predicted.
But
Floyd did. He knew exactly what he was.
yeah,
Floyd
Floyd.
said, "Watch this."
Yeah, Floyd said it wasn't going to go 10. Floyd said he's like, I'll have him out. But at the same time, it's one of those things where you just have to be able to think about. There's only so much that Conor's talking and promo talk will get him. He's got to perform, and if he loses to Cowboy, then who do you fight next? You got to fight someone like Justin Gaethje, who's waiting. You can't keep
You gotta
fighting.
fight me.
You got to fight. Well, I mean, I did it twice.
Uh-oh, here we go. Here we
Hey,
go.
but real quick, because since I've already derailed you on this thought, Conor McGregor reminds me of the Dallas Cowboys in that
Oh
he's
boy.
kind of hit the 8-8 part of his career. Like he might win, he might lose, probably going to lose, but somehow the star power that he's amassed to this point is still pushing him forward. And people are saying, "Oh, forget the record. This is going to be our year." Like Cowboys fans and Conor fans, it's the same group of folks.
This is a good analogy. You make good analogies, Casey.
I
Thanks.
I don't. I'm not going to defend the Cowboys because I haven't watched football for years. But I will take a stab at this, and that they say that the Cowboy fans are the battle between the Cowboy fans and the Oakland Raider fans of who's more brainwashed, if you will. I think it's the people that hate the Cowboy fans and the Raider fans are more brainwashed into hating them than anything, because that group is significantly larger. Okay, because it's pretty much the entire league.
Fly goes fly. Last story. Last
They
story.
flew to the couch. What are you talking about, man? They're sitting on the couch too.
Last story. Joanna Jędrzejczyk is saying that the losses that she had, the bad fights that she had, were a result of a bad relationship. Then she said that she broke up with her fiance. They broke up right before the first fight with Rose Namajunas. She had a terrible weight cut. She broke up again. Like, they found out that her manager was messing up her money. Her fiance was cheating on her. Basically, those 2 years where she lost to Valentina Shevchenko, which was, she got outclassed. Lost twice to Rose Namajunas. That was all based off of these distractions with her relationships and her managers. Once she got past that in 2019, she started stringing together some wins, and now she's positioned to fight Weili Zhang in 2020. So, what do you guys think? Just hot take. Do you think a broken heart can cause you to lose fights?
100%.
Yes.
100%. It takes away from your ability to train appropriately. Your cortisol levels are off, so your stress hormone is literally higher at the point. You can't be the best version of yourself when you're going through stuff like that.
I agree. We've seen.
So
this.
Ryan fought me when I went through my divorce, by the way. So that first fight doesn't count.
Second fight.
So we saw that. We've seen this too many times. Too many examples of this. We saw it in Rocky when Mick died. We saw it in Bloodsport where Ray Jackson got beat by.
Wait,
Chong
these are all
Li.
fake stories. These are not real. We saw it in the WWE when Miss Elizabeth went to Hulk Hogan. Like, no,
Yes,
we saw it.
that.
We saw it
Okay.
in Mike Tyson's career when Customato died. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. We'll take
When
that.
Robin Givens left him.
I
And
guess.
that's like we saw it in the Karate Kid 2 when
Yeah. Yes.
We
Yes.
yeah we
Okay.
we saw it in Charles Dickens'
Lady and the
novel.
Tramp.
Wait a minute. Where in a Charles Dickens novel?
I'm making fun of you right now. It doesn't have to make sense.
I'm just saying, we've seen this, so it happened in Rockies.
We saw this in the video game.
Clever, clever
In
things
Street
happen.
Fighter 2, the storyline.
All right.
You're feeling right now. Okay, that's all I'm saying. All right, so yes, a broken heart can get you a broken jaw. Okay, it's no different than being injured or anything in the ring.
All right. Well, there you have it. Follow us on social media. On Instagram, I'm at Combat Sports Talk.
I'm at Push Pull Pray.
And I'm at Keys to Victory, and that's Keys with an ES.
And George is at Geo Stallworth. So you can find all of us on Instagram. You can come to the website, www.combatsportstalk.com. You can get our live reaction shows from the pay-per-views. You can also see fighter interviews that we've done locally here in Dallas. We are on all of your favorite podcasting platforms and on YouTube. We are everywhere you want to be. Our podcast is like, what, Visa? That's right. Shout out to MMA Junkie, MMA Fighting, MMA Mania, and Bloody Elbow. Those are all the sites where I'm getting all the headlines for this show. On behalf of John Keys and Casey Onyebuchi, I'm Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs. We'll catch you next time.